Ah, cool.
Well, good evening and welcome to the Psychic Coffee Shop. I'm Ace Knight, and with me tonight is, of course, my lovely Techie Joe. How are you
Hello.
Hungry Downers doing? Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I'm doing okay. We are so glad you have finally left your hibernation.
I haven't left my hibernation. I'm just astroplaning over here right now.
Oh, okay, that's what we're going with. All
Yeah,
right.
I'm going back to my other plane in a little bit.
Hey, speaking of, since you got the new phone, you have quit going across the street.
I've noticed that. I've been at home a lot.
You have. Another episode, we were around the fact that we have a tracking app on our phones, and this weird thing kept happening with it in which he'll be taking a nap and all of a sudden it will notify us that he's left home. And it's like, no, I'm real sure he was in the bedroom sleeping. I'm real sure. And then he
And
wanders across the road and comes back. It's like,
right.
I'm sure it's like a satellite glitch or something, but it's hilarious when it happens.
Well, it is hilarious. It is hilarious when other things happen with us, like, oh, I don't know, my phone just goes bonkers for no reason. Now, granted, we haven't had this with the new one. Um, and the difference is the new one has a metal case to it. Yeah, she is metal line, so she may get her little butt stuck home more often.
Oh,
Not as conductive.
oh, she
Yeah.
tried.
But sorry, guys, it was a long work night last night. Me and Uncle Sam had to do some poker playing, aka Ace and Ellie's taxes.
Yes. Well, glad you got those done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, notwithstanding the check, you have to write them.
Checks, honey. Checks. I have to write them.
Yes.
Yes.
So again, we point you towards the store.
Hi, Don. How you doing, honey?
Oh, I forgot to move over to comments. I'm so bad.
Cindy, how are you this evening?
Hello, Dawn and Cindy. Yes, I don't know. I keep getting. We're swapping back and forth right now. He does classes with Zoom, and then we do this with a different service. And so I'm sitting here, and I'm used to to Zoom at this point, and the fact that like you see all chat immediately.
I'm really doing well. For those that do not know, ASIN is still on lockdown. ASIN will be on lockdown until there are no new cases for 14 days. And if the government would finish their testing, we can get moving with this. I know a lot of you have gone back, are looking to work either this week or next week. A lot of you are looking at doing a lot of other things. We may not have large gatherings for a while. And it's just, this is the time, this is the spirit of it. It doesn't change my services. I still am up at 4 o'clock in the morning doing on-demand services. I still take appointments. I'm still taking over the call, video conferencing like this. It's not on your Facebook feed. Or I'm doing on-phone appointments.
Yeah. Good job, Cindy.
Very good job,
Thank
Cindy.
you.
Yep.
She is staying locked down. But no, and then the other thing that you sometimes run into with clients, I guess there's like a misconception that like an in-person reading is better than a phone reading, which is better than a text reading, and then a video reading is somewhere in between. Like, I don't know. You kind of go with but I'm the same ASIN. Like, yeah, I might have to work a little harder for it, but I'm cool with that.
Well, actually, I'm sorry. I think in-person readings are harder. And here is why they're harder on the client and me. Is because, when we're face-to-face, we're doing a reading and it gives me and yes, I can get a better read because I'm sitting right there with you. But then I'm having to, that's why we use the cards and we do all the shuffling. When I do a phone reading, if you wanted me to do a full card spread and then get to your questions, then not a problem. Just let me know. Over the phone, I normally don't do the full card spread because you're paying, by the minute, not just the reading.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, let me get you in here and get you out. How much can I get you out for in a low ticket? Because I don't want to charge. I'm still in that mindset of, no, I don't want to charge you $80, $90, $120, because half of it was wasted on giving you a card reading that you barely will remember tomorrow.
Well, there's that. But yeah. I would also think that, like, some of the in-person readings, you still have to contend with a lot of different aspects of people and of the space.
Right.
And of the other people in the space.
Right.
So when you're in a phone reading, I mean, like, go sit by a lake in your car.
Yeah.
I think you have a client that virtually does that.
I do that. I have one that they want to get a loan for the reading. So he goes into his walk-in closet, sits down on his lovely chair, and shuts the door. So that he can have privacy. I've literally been called while they're on the road. I've been called as they walk into a boardroom. And it's really interesting when you're being brought into a boardroom meeting and you're doing a reading on speakerphone about the company, and telling them exactly what they're doing. And that tends to be fun.
But I'm sure it's also slightly scary for them.
Well, I think it's slightly scary for them because I'm normally the type that knows, hey, the one over there? No, walk down a little farther. That one, yeah. That one's a louse. He's selling your corporate information, and I said that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm a big mouth. I don't let you get by with shit. But, point being, my readings are my readings. They don't change. Yeah. Whether it's by phone or things like that. They're just straight readings. So if you're calling me on phone, if you're wanting a video chat, great. We will be doing that until I get off a lockdown. Then we will go back to in-person readings. And probably at first it will be by appointment only. And then we'll go from there.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. And something else that's getting, and you told me to bring this up, and because it hadn't hit me, hadn't been pointed out. I do mediumship, but I can't do medium. I can't connect with that direct person until after they've been over there a while. Think about it in reverse. Normally, it takes about 30 days for the soul to get used to being on the other side. Sometimes a little longer, sometimes a little less. Sometimes it takes them 30 days to even get over there. So we have a lot of impending deaths. We have had a lot of recent deaths. Don't be calling your mediums and going, hey, did Johnny make it over last week? What's he doing? What's he thinking? Because you're going to give you probably the same thing I give, and I was trained to give, which is, okay, let me see if I can at least find someone that knows that Johnny's over there. But for me, it's not a direct line of communication for a very good while. I actually would say 6 months up. So that people on the other side have an idea of figuring out how to use the telecommunicational system over here. If you ever went to another country and the phone systems are different, it's basically the same theory.
Yeah. Well, because, and the reason I said that is you were talking about being on network and getting a little slammed, and I'm like, oh, are you getting hit with a lot of mediumship?
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, no, sort of kind of like, well, why? And we hadn't really talked about the so to speak, the lag, I guess you could call it,
Right.
in being able to do that. But I'm sitting here going, there have been a lot of deaths.
Mm-hmm.
And these are going to be a lot of people with a lot of unfinished business deaths. These were not, well, grandma has gone through stages 1 through 3 and is now in stage 4 cancer. And, the chemo and the therapy and all the stuff hasn't worked. And at 85, grandma's going to pass.
Mm-hmm.
Slow, it's happening. You've got time to make plans.
Mm-hmm.
Buy some green bananas for a while. Deaths. These are people that went and bought groceries yesterday, ended up in the ER today, and then boom, they're gone. And the loved ones are not getting to go and say goodbye. They're having to try to do this over phone. If that person's even conscious enough to be able to, I'm like, oh, I see this getting slammed.
Right. And I also want to bring up that a mediumship reading is separate from my scheduled readings. If you go in there, hi Kim. When you go into my appointment section, there is one that says mediumship. And a reason for that is it is not a 15-30-minute appointment. It is $55 for a mediumship reading. And that could be 20 minutes. That could be 5. And on the other side, on the back house of it, we block out 2 hours.
Well, because they are a more intense reading. This is not just like dealing with the living versus dealing with the dead is a totally different concept.
Right. And it's a totally different gear. And that's what a lot of people, and there are some out there that can do both and they're great at it. On the other hand, my system doesn't work that way, right? I have to switch gears because I'm used to living on alpha wave into the future, not going on over to the other side. And you see a lot of people that are psychic mediums. That means that they can go to the other side and to the into the alpha wave at the same time. For me, it's different, and I just work differently that way. That's why I normally say, if you want to do a connect with the other side, write your questions down. And then understand that sometimes that reading, as it comes out, people may pop in. You have no clue who they are. About a week or so ago, I had a woman. She came for a mediumship reading on Videocon. And this woman came through clear as day. Pain in the egger. Karen Max. Okay? And I'm like, all right, I don't know who this person is. They're not telling me where they fit in your family. They're not giving me any information. But this is the message. And this is what they look like. And she goes, okay, I don't know who that is. I have no clue who that is in my family. So go ask your mother. About a day later, I got an email back. Oh, that was my Aunt Janice. She was my Uncle Marty's third wife. And yeah, she was an aggravating pain in the ass to the family.
And meanwhile,
she
still wants to see your manager.
It was more so, she wanted to see you basically because she wanted to run the reading. And I'm not the type of medium that's a trance medium that says, okay, spirit, come and just hang out. It's like, no, you're here to provide a message. I'm here to transmute the message. Allow it to go forward. Okay, Kim. Looking at your question, and I'm going to go ahead and throw some cards here, because I'm assuming you're asking about your relationship and when you're going to get a marriage. To do. Well, looking at the marriage in general, I feel like you're looking at about 3 years. It does look to be a happy relationship, though, so that's a good thing. You do have to remember, however, that he is slow as molasses, so sometimes you have to lead him down the doorstep. Okay.
Well, there we go.
Yes. Well, my Outlook decided to let me know that there was an appointment at 4 o'clock.
Mm.
Yeah. I love when it's running just as fast as it can.
It's time.
Uh-huh.
Oh God, it's decided to unload everything.
Yes.
Oh, and Dawn would like to know when she will get remarried.
Well, let's see, Don.
And I'm sure right now that is probably a big problem. I know it is, like the articles we've read. A lot of marriages and at least the weddings, the actual ceremonies, the big reception, the big giant gathering, all of that's been kind of thrown to the wind. And there's a lot of people struggling with that.
Well, there's a lot of people struggling with that. But looking at everything, Don, you got to learn to relax. Of course, we know we got some baby coming. But in general, we're looking at about 6 years for a remarriage. It takes you a little while. Because also, I feel, Don, with this, it's like, fine, let's go get married. It's not a let's have a ceremony. It's let's get the paperwork done. Is basically the way this marriage seems because you're already doing the job by that point. You're already acting as the wife. You're already getting called Mrs. Example, he gets called Mr. Knight all the time. You even got mail the other day in Mr. Knight.
Oh, it does happen. It does happen. But yeah, no. Well, and I don't know. I think a lot of people right now are possibly really struggling anyway with the idea of long range planning. Right. Like that's a big part of the conversation right now is trying to kind of deal with what can I, should I, ought I, and especially around anything that's not like today, tomorrow, and this week. Because I'm sorry, but I'm totally identifying with the little meme going around right now about worst purchase of 2019 that is a 2020 calendar, because it's like
I don't know. I'm loving my planner. I am still very happy with my happy planner. Now, granted, it's a little bit less crowded, but I like it. I like how it works. Granted, I have 2 planners put together as one because with Happy Planner, you can choose one of this and one of that and put them all in together. Hi, Sharon. How are you?
Call her Shannon.
Shannon. Sorry. I don't know why I keep calling you Sharon. Shannon.
Sounds like someone needs to have a conversation with their mother and go, did you have a moment where my name was debatable?
Well, no, I have this with people. There are people in my life that they have a different name and they get called this name for the long term of the relationship. That's just how it is. Sometimes I think it's soul recognition of like, oh, I know you, but I know you by a different name. And I had a cat like that. I think, and you've heard, you didn't meet him, but his name was Solomon. As soon as I met the cat's name was Solomon. How are you, Solomon? What are you up to, Solomon? Blah, blah, blah. And he was being owned by somebody else at this time. His original charge. And she goes, no, his name is Frisky. No, his name isn't Frisky.
Oh, I don't know. I've run into that. There was, as in, I've had that moment happen that there are some people that I don't care how many times I try to learn their name.
Mm-hmm.
I will open my mouth and go to talk about them, and this other name pops out, and it's consistently the same one.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I've literally wanted to look at them and go, did your mother have a moment when you came out where she was like, well, we could go with this or we could go with that, because I think she screwed up. Is my general theory. It's like, I think she messed up. Because you look like a...
I seriously think it's soul recognition. Like, oh, I know who this person is, or I know who that person is.
Oh my. Well, that's interesting.
Again, soul recognition. Do you like him? Have you learned the answer to that one?
Hey, there's worse things. Well, now in my family, we have a running joke of because there were so many kids. Because okay, so my grandfather, one of my grandfathers, was one of 26 children. 18 or 19, I think it's 18, made it to adulthood. My mom was one of 9 kids. I'm one of 5 kids. Lots of people, big families, huge family. You always knew when grandmas and grandpas were getting tired in our family, because they just quit trying. Like, there's a brief stage where they go through it went in stages. First, there was they would name all your siblings and go, whatever your name is. And then they would get to the point when they would just call one of your parents' names. You know, like, Wayne's kid, get over here. You know, okay. Guess that's me. And then finally ended with that there one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hey, I'm telling you, sometimes I think I need to start using numbers.
I want to be 11. I want to be 11. Oh, Stranger Things, you've ruined me. Yeah.
But no, on the other side, I think that there is a big influx. So, you know, they're just as stressed as we are, going, oh, great, we got a huge train coming in. Let's let it pull us out. Right.
There you go.
A lot of mediumship work going on. And I think we're going to see revitalization like we did in the 20s of mediumship. A lot of people are going to be waking up to mediumship. A lot of people are going to be having things go on that are tied into that.
Mm-hmm.
People may be seeing more spectral activity. I won't call them ghosts because technically they're not ghosts. Ghosts are spirits that have decided to stay earthbound so they can either maintain something, watch after something, take care of something. This is more, you know, like the lighters disappearing in my house, spectral activity when Dad, you know, isn't getting his way or doesn't like something going on.
Well, we must have done something right, because we have been finding lighters by the truckload.
I put him in the office.
Ah, there you go. That's true.
Yeah.
I guess he likes being on camera.
I think he likes being in my office. That was, you know, we built this office together. But Dad was always very supportive of work. You know, he worked 2 jobs, retired from both of those jobs, and up until me had the record for overtime at one of them, and I had to let him know that I broke his record. Well, and that was a weird one because, you know, most of my patients had been his patients.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first job he retired from, and they were still there 20 years later.
Right.
And then, you know, he went on to work at the institution. Hi,
Brenda.
Hi, Brenda. How are you? So, you know, I think he enjoys being back here because he gets to see me work. And, but no, we've been finding him in the men's minded lighters. I really wish he would have been the type of, crossover loved one left change.
Well, there's that.
Yeah. Or feathers. I can deal with feathers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Instead, we just have disappearing, reappearing lighters.
Yeah.
Well, judging by his lighter collection of really nice Zippos, I will give the man credit. He had really nice Zippos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can see the fascination.
Yes. And, we got your mother's sewing machine out, so I'll expect pennies to start popping up anytime now.
Okie dokie. I'm a little confused. You gotta walk me through that one.
Every time we start using something of your mother's, be it the candy dish, be it the sewing machine, change starts appearing. Namely pennies.
It is not a candy dish.
Okay.
It is the popcorn bowl.
Okay.
That's what I knew it as.
Uh-huh.
Popcorn bowl. It is this great big giant square glass bowl. It's red on one side, white on the inside. And I made the mistake and ran it through the dishwasher, so it's not as red on the outside. Unfortunately, I didn't know. This was early days. It was one of the first things I ran through my dad's dishwasher when he finally got one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't know. There were so many things we didn't know.
So Brenda's doesn't leave her things. They knock things off of places and make noises.
Does she have ghost cats?
No, but interesting that they're moving things. That takes a lot of energy for them to do. An example of that is old time mediumship. There's a reading type called a trumpet reading, and it's basically this very about 4 foot tall, slender trumpet. You do, but you've also got more than that. But so it would take a lot of work for the spirits to get the trumpet playing, and they're set. Then you'd hear them speak out of it and stuff. But no, spirit activity is going to be up.
I was just making a bad joke.
Yeah,
it was poor taste, but I couldn't resist. Because knocking stuff off—that's kind of a cat thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, that's where my head went. I'm a bad person.
You should stop that. One of these days, I am going to get you over your emotional abuse and get you to stop saying sorry every time we turn around.
Well, one day, good luck. Brenda's like, I know, but I had to say it. Yeah, that's basically where I live. Is this is so inappropriate, but I have to. Yeah, that's where it is.
So, also in the news this week, and no one's really talking about a lot of things because they're trying to press it up and build it up as, this is fun and wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, West Virginia had a wish order on M95 masks that they gave out to their first responders. The CDC warned them that these are counterfeit masks, meaning that these masks are not N95. But still, the state told the counties to use them.
Right. Well, and there's a lot of debate going back and forth on that. The state, at least one person in the state is fighting really hard to be like, no, these are totally legit. And part of the biggest problem comes down to a real N95 mask would have a headband.
Mm-hmm.
That's not just an insignificant part of it. Because in terms of effectiveness and getting a seal where you need it and holding it tightly, the headband does better.
Yeah.
The ear loops are nice, but if you've ever had one of those like little, freebie from your hospital, like if you have a cough, please wear a masks, they don't really seal. Like
Right.
they kind of like rest. And yeah, if you're coughing, it's gonna help.
Right.
But it's not really, it's not a tight seal. It's not a great seal. It's not a wonderful seal.
Right.
And that's kind of where the big debate is not necessarily at the point of, okay, these aren't real masks, but, they still work. It's at the point of, I want to say that the way that article reads is that the materials are right. It's not made by the right company and it's being misrepresented. And if they had a headband, these would probably be okay. Maybe not 100% effective as a legit mask, but would still offer decent protection.
Right.
Reasonable inline protection. But the problem they're running into is that because of the ear loops, no, these are not effective.
Right.
Not at all. I don't think they're at the point of saying, well, if you made one at home, you would be doing just as good.
Right.
And the real problem is that these are going to hospitals. These are being sent to, people who are legitimately, obviously coming into COVID-19 patient contact, or very well could be. And first responders, fire, paramedic, police. That's where these are being sent.
Yeah.
And still the state is fighting or at least one person is fighting so very hard to be like, no, they're totally legit, man.
Well,
and it's like,
not only that, but we have seen other states, Maryland, for example, ordered COVID-19 test, chartered a plane, actually just called the football team and said, hey, we're taking your jet over to China. We'll be back in 8 hours. And the owner said, cool, pick me up Chinese while you're there.
I'm sorry. Wow, I was not ready for that. Woo!
I did it to him this time. Flew over with a National Guard battalion or deployment or whatever. Picked up their COVID-19 supplies, flew them back to a secret location, placed them under guard because they're afraid the federal government's going to seize them.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of I have to say, this has been one of the most confusing national responses to a major event that I've seen.
Yeah.
But then again, when we're looking through, the water situation in Flint, Michigan, I still don't understand how that continues to be a problem. Puerto Rico and, the relief efforts there, like, okay, we're just going to abandon them. Good luck with that. Have fun.
You're not a state, so we're not going to do anything for you. Bullshit. They still pay taxes.
It's like, I feel like either something has dramatically shifted in the last few years, or did I get a history class wrong, or not a history class, but a civics class wrong? Like, like this is the stuff that justifies paying taxes. Like when I know like you're sitting here and we open the show by griping about it and I gotta write a check, multiple checks. And I understand the frustration. I do. And I've been there. I've had a few tax years in which it's like, I get to write a check. Yay, raise.
No. Mine isn't yay raise. My aggravation with it is I'm an independent business owner. I have the ability to telework. I have been instructed by my medical professional not to see people in person. That means that 35 to 85% of my business is shut down. The independent part of my business is mostly shut down. I fit into no government program. I can't get unemployment because I'm able to telework.
Right.
I can't, I won't get a stimulus check because I'm an independent contractor. Independent contractors file taxes and write checks. They don't look at the IRS and say, hand me money. So we're left out of the game.
But my point was more specifically is that, I've always been able to look at that situation of having to pay taxes and the taxes that we, and not just like you're end of year, do you write a check or get a refund? Like you're not getting 100%. We pay a lot of taxes in a lot of ways. I've always been able to look back at it and just go, but I'm so thankful for the things we get for those.
Right.
I sure as hell appreciate public education. I am a product of it in the state of West Virginia. I am part of the North Carolina public education system as well. Their university system, the UNC system of schools, Greensboro specifically, UNCG, UNC Greensboro, which they hate when you call it that, but that's a whole nother story. The UNC Greensboro part, not UNC gay. We're cool with that. It's kind of true. But our road system, even with the potholes, the fact that, we have routes, even if they're not in the greatest shape, we have routes all through this country to get you from one place to another, multiple routes to get you from one place to another, even with the potholes and the dereliction. And then programs like FEMA and safety net programs and, our sciences and all of this, and be like, you know what? I can appreciate this. I can appreciate my sales tax. I can appreciate that we are not, living in the wild, wild west of West Virginia. That we have, services and utilities, and we have all this awesome stuff, and appreciate all the taxes that go into that and all the different ways that we pay taxes to pay for that. Tolls and sales tax and B&O tax and all of it. But then I hit a situation like this and I look at our federal government response, and I got a big problem here.
Yeah.
No. You're not understanding. Like, you're really still not getting it. Like, you're just seeing the downside of taxes, which is, damn, I have to write a check. Why are you taking my money? Without ever looking around going, this is what we take the money for. This is what you do with it.
Okay. I'll counteract that.
Okay.
One, the roads. Hello, in Charleston still there are bridges that are unsafe. We have to take I refuse to go across a couple of bridges there because they have been reported unsafe. The interstate that we bought the lovely transponder for to get through the tolls with, they have been paving sections of that road for 20 years. The school system. Now, what the school system in Fayette County isn't the greatest. I really question at times what they're doing for students. The education is very poorly done, very religious based, very bad history. This is why we're here today, is bad history.
Okay.
And then we get, because we're smokers, we get extra taxation without representation. We don't have children. Our children are four-legged. They don't go to school. They are not part of the CHIP program. For y'all that want to fuss about smokers, about $1 of their cigarettes goes to a program called CHIP. It actually pays for the health insurance of children.
But you know
That
what?
one you can get along with.
Well, but here's where I'm at. And we've had this debate back and forth that, like, we don't have children, but we're paying all these taxes towards the school system. No, we don't have children. But we're going to interact with those children for the rest of our lives. In not all of them, not every single one of them, but someone's children are going to be our doctors, our nurses, our garbage collectors, our retail workers. And that public education system is what's going to determine what that experience is like, or the difficulty that employers have, because we hope to one day employ.
I don't know. I'm too picky.
Well, but you know, we would love to get big enough to employ. It determines what you're working with in human resources. I mean, I hate that word, but like, who's applying for jobs and what kind of candidates you're getting, and then how much training do you have to do? Like, if you have to start with basic literacy and, you know, general math just to hire someone to you know, work at a drive-through, I think you're going to see a lot of problems with employment and with customer interaction, and a lot of ticked off customers, while your, you know, employee slowly learns math as an adult.
Well, you're never building me a POS system that tells them exactly what changed to count back, and all the products are pictured so they can choose the picture.
Well, you know.
Yes.
Well, but in some senses, that is meant to reduce errors as well. Now, it sucks when people are over-reliant on it.
Yeah.
And they need the machine to tell them what to do. But it can also be error-reducing, because we even see that and a lot of resistance to it in the medical field. One of the biggest things you can do as a hospital to reduce your malpractice rate, or more importantly, your rate of surgical complication and surgical mistakes, is to have a checklist. It is a proven scientific fact. If you have a checklist and you run your OR off a checklist, you can massively cut the amount of mistakes that happen.
Right.
You know how hard surgeons fight against that.
Oh, yeah. I know how hard they fight against a lot of things. But here's the other way to really reduce medical stress and medical malpractice cases. Reduce patient load on your nurses. Well, no nurse should have the amount of patients they have and continue to have. But there's a nursing shortage here. Massively within this country.
Honestly, it's not a nursing shortage. Like, let's call it what it... No, it isn't. It is not a nursing shortage. It is point blank we have turned nursing into a horrible, unpaying field. We with no respect, in which nurses are basically treated with about as much respect as someone showing up on their first day at age 12 or age what is it, 16 when you can first work at McDonald's. I don't know
15
what
and a
12
half.
worked out. Yeah, okay, 15 and a half when you can first go work at McDonald's.
Unless your family owns one, then you
Yeah.
can work 12.
Regardless of how many years experience, that registered nurse who did a lot to get where he or she is, they're getting treated with the same pay and respect as someone showing up at McDonald's at 15 and a half to start their shift.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
There's not a nursing shortage. There's just a point blank realization I can't get paid enough for this to make it worth it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a shortage of nurses. There is not a lack of people who would gladly become nurses. There's a group of people who sit here and go, okay, it's going to cost me this much to become a nurse. I've got to do all of this to become a nurse. And then once I become a nurse, the pay's crap. Point blank, it's going to be very difficult to pay off all the education that I had to get. Why don't I go find something that'll actually pay the bills and not leave me wanting to kill people?
Or leave you without a job 5, 6, 10 years in because you physically can't do it anymore.
Or in the reverse, leave you without a job because it's fully functional on a horrible system of judging employees.
What's Shannon?
Yeah, and talking about the overstaffing, that for-profit medical facilities will short staff nursing for the whole purpose of maximizing profitability.
Right.
Which is one of the biggest problems with private industry. This lovely, theory that not we, I don't share it, but has been pervasive in this country, that privatization will save us all. It'll make everything cheaper. It'll make everything better. It'll make everything blah, blah, blah. What we're running into and what we have been running into is that all of the privatized MBA-run medical facilities that are functioning off cost-benefit analysis, A1 key term you're going to learn, cost-benefit analysis, ruling all their decisions, is that there are some things that private industry is well set for. Healthcare specifically is a horrible one. Horrible place to do for-profit. For the simple reason you have got to embrace in a healthcare setting the immediate idea that, you're going to have to keep a wide variety of stuff on hand, ready to go, that will expire, that may get thrown out, because this isn't like running out of toner.
Right.
You don't drive 2 blocks over and go get more when you need it in the middle of an emergency at 3 a.m. That's what we're seeing with the N95 masks and the gowns and the gloves and all of the equipment, the respirators. That's what we're running into, is the inability in a for-profit system and the resulting effect when you made this predominant throughout the healthcare system, that smaller hospitals, community hospitals, in order to remain competitive, had to start adopting this. Is no longer are they stocking for a wide variety, wide range of problems that they should be able to handle, at least to a percentile.
Right.
I mean, do I expect a small rural hospital to be able to take 5,000 patients in a night? God, no. But do I expect somewhere like New York to have a pretty reasonable stockpile of stuff sitting in storage that they can handle a wide variety of crises?
Mm-hmm.
Because New York is a very big place and it is situated in a very unique area.
Right.
Being the home of Wall Street, a massive terrorist target painted on its back. It is an international port from sky and sea. And it is a major hub for the world. Not to mention the sheer population size and the rate of spread of a communicable disease.
Right.
So, yeah, somewhere like New York, working in a for-profit model means no, this is exactly what happens.
Right.
For-profit will fail you. It'll make you lovely returns for your investors,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not what healthcare is.
Right.
Nor
And
should it be.
we are one of the only countries that is a for-profit healthcare system. India being the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And when we say for-profit, we're not talking about paying our nurses and our doctors and our aides and our ward clerks and that. We're talking about paying, running the system for profit, for shareholders to be the demand center.
Right.
It's like Anthony Fauci. He is like the gold star right now for healthcare. He's our United States expert that should be running a task force. Instead, he's reporting to a julep.
Do what?
A julep. He has to report to Pence.
Oh. I still don't recognize the word.
Oh, sorry.
New word. Don't know the word. Ooh. I don't run into many of those. My vocabulary is large.
Uh-huh. Idiot, basically. Doesn't understand anything.
Okay.
Has a poor record of healthcare to begin with. Review his stats as governor was it Indiana?
Yes.
Yeah. You'll see that healthcare scores are terrible. His healthcare knowledge is terrible.
Well, moreover, his ability. Well, and here's a sad part to say as a gay man in 2020. But I had a moment there where I could at least look at Pence and be like, all right, you're anti-gay, really pro-Christian, I can sort of understand you wanting to ignore a gay problem like HIV. Or at least being still stuck in that 80s gay problem mindset towards HIV. And go, okay, this is bad, but, that's just prejudice playing out. But then to see this turn around on a national crisis level, like, COVID-19 is not a gay disease. It's not, it just isn't. To see that same kind of response, that's when I had the, oh no, you just really don't care about human life. Like, all this focus on the family, pro-life bullshit is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
It is about, stroking the voters.
Yeah. And then we see him at Mayo Clinic.
I'm afraid to use that new word in a sentence.
Oh, you're going to learn a lot of new words the more we stay together and stay in this house together. But then to see him at Mayo Clinic marching around without a face mask on, I'm like, hello?
Yeah.
How did his Secret Service even allow that to happen?
Well, forget the Secret Service. I still have major issues with Mayo Clinic.
Yeah.
Point blank, I will, in my own mind, I call that completely unforgivable. That is a forever stain on their reputation. To allow that.
Right.
I don't care who this person is. You allowed them to completely contravene your policy that is sane, safe, reasonable, intelligent policy to have. What were the limits? What were the limits? That's, you know, if that was not something you were going to take a stand on, then what do you take a stand on? Why should we respect you as a medical authority if a simple friggin' policy you can't even hold your gun, you know, stick to your guns on? Like, screw it. Now, you're not a respectable institution. Screw you, Mayo Clinic.
Well, and then we've got Honeywell now. Trump marching around there without a face mask on. What?
Yeah. I mean, I can go a little lesser degree on that. But medical facility, yeah, that one, no. Totally unforgivable.
Everyone else is in mask, white suit, except Trump.
Yeah.
Really?
Basically. Yeah.
Of course, you know, yet again, Trump has been proven wrong about the origins of the virus. It is still considered to be a virus from bats. Yes, we do not eat bats in this country. Some countries eat bats. Some countries eat rodents. Some places eat other animals, other pets.
Well, without going there, but no, there are delicacies all over the world. There are random foods in the world. And honey, how much can we talk? We're in West Virginia. I know people that eat squirrel.
Yeah.
Like, hi.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we don't get to talk a lot.
Well, I know we don't get to talk a lot, but, you know, it's been a lot of conversation, a lot of movement in conversation that they're, you know, possibly, you know, this was a lab release or an uncontrolled lab release. And he has touted this for weeks now, breeding more racism, breeding more, you know, fear. When no, hasn't come there. Now, granted, I do question this theory, but let's go with this theory. This has been known to happen before. We have seen COVID-19 in all species of animals, from horses to tigers. It's jumping species. It happens. Diseases do that.
Well, yes. Well, it can happen, and it's a mutation process. And it can take a very long time to happen. Because ultimately, when you're talking about virology, you're talking about the study of how a virus, this very simple little tiny organism, manages to survive, thrive, change, and ultimately how to kill it. You know, that's usually the nice product we like out of virology.
Right.
Okay, but how do we kill it?
I am just glad this is one we're not getting blamed for.
Oh, but we have.
Oh, I have not been blamed for it. We do not have pitchforks in the front yard yet.
Well, but I mean in general. Well, yeah. Although I have blamed you for this.
You have blamed me for this, but no. You know, it's been, you know, history, you know, has listed us as being the plague creators, witches. And I'm just glad that we haven't gotten there yet. I'm waiting. I am waiting.
Oh, no, I've already been there. Oh, that's already been there. You missed it.
Oh, I missed it? Okay.
Oh, yeah. The gays brought it. The witches brought it. The Satanists brought it. Pat Robertson has gone off on his own little please someone call Adult Protective Services and get this man a care.
Yes, please.
Tangent. Because seriously, like at this point, it's not even, I can't even make fun of him.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sad. Like, he's not in touch with reality. Like, this isn't, like, you can look at him, and if you have ever dealt with dementia patients or people that are high as a kite, there's a look.
Right.
And it's there.
Yeah.
Like, buildings closed, lights are off.
Words are flowing out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's evident he has dementia. I cannot believe they continue to allow it to go on. But of course, the 700 Club growls in a lot of money. But there is one thing going on that does look like history is repeating itself.
Mm-hmm.
You
mean Klan hoods in grocery stores?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Go on.
Halley's Comet meteor showers peaks in the night skies tonight.
Oh.
Yes. There is a lot of foreboding about comets and about meteor showers coming through.
Mm-hmm.
And here it is again. So, after the show, go ahead and peek outside and see if you can see it. We won't be able to see it here in West Virginia, unfortunately, because it is raining.
Well, there's that.
Yes.
Oh, well. How many years till the next one?
I won't be here.
Oh. Will I still be young?
You're always young, honey.
There we go. Yes, it does suck. It very much does.
So it may be interesting to note that there is going to be some other meteor showers, some other meteor things popping up through the skies. Go out and watch them. Because again, some of these things you won't see again. Your grandchildren may not see them.
Well, there is that. Now, I do have a secondary question. I was kind of having that after the last couple of weeks. Is what the hell's in retrograde?
Venus is in retrograde.
Okay, so how is that making my business go crazy?
Let me check. Let me see exactly where we're at and what degrees we're in.
Okay, because I've been getting calls all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, if you got questions, go ahead and pop them in. Same format as before. We already, of course, get your name. So please pop your date of birth in and your question. Though we may not be a stickler for that.
Right. Because we ain't got so many lawyers to make happy.
Well, true.
Okay. Yep, Venus is going into retrograde. She's slowing down. May 13th is when she goes into retrograde. She won't be direct again till June, so if you've got exes around, expect them to pop up. I'll be sure to be getting the salads ready.
Well, if your exes pop up, don't you just, doesn't that mean you summoned them in the first place?
Well, no, if my exes pop up, honey, I just like the Palo Santo over here, and we'll be done with them.
Oh, well, there you go.
All right. Mars is not retrograde at the moment.
Mercury's all happy.
For the moment. Saturn on the 11th of May is going retrograde. So we may see a little bit less restraint going on.
And I'm taking Shannon's question, but you go on.
Okay. We do have Uranus, which is related to internet and computers, in retrograde up until August 15th. And
I think we're buying a new house at the rate I'm going.
Neptune, which deals with the psyche, is still in retrograde till November. So that'll be interesting. And where is our little Pluto? And Pluto, of course, is in retrograde So, yeah, when Pluto goes into retrograde, it's always a fun time with everything because it brings out our inner worst selves. Neptune and Uranus. Your business is going probably crazy over Uranus. Most of your issues will be internet-related based issues.
Well, it does seem like my clients are pulling things out of their ass, but sorry, that was a bad one. So yeah, I know I'm jumping, but that's because I have a smart ass comment and I can't hold it in any longer. Shannon, as I tell everyone, you can do whatever you would like. Now, should you? Think long and hard. Is it worth it? All right, now I'll let you handle Brenda and Shannon.
There's an end of the world cult things popping up in the media, not in direct media and sub media. There's also a lot of times there's end of the world cult stuff going on. I love our little preppers who are going like, we've been waiting for this. And I feel like with that, that's going to lead into some cultism. We do possibly may have an occurrence of like 5 and 10 years down the road, people popping up that were assumed dead because they went into their bunkers and nobody ever saw them.
Oh, yeah, but we've seen how that played out. All the damn preppers are out protesting without masks, screaming for a haircut.
Not all of them, and those are show ponies. However, I do, we talked about this.
Show ponies for an ugly ass contest. That's what they are. Show ponies for. There is no amount of hair and makeup that's going to fix some of that ass.
It's still show poniness, pure show poniness. And Shannon? Can you spray them with kerosene? You can technically spray them with kerosene, but that isn't going to do much for them than give them secondary burns. It's much better to fix them a lovely salad composed of foxgloves, nettle.
Yes, they are the ones that would hide a zombie bite.
Yes.
Like, if you're friends with these people, I'm just saying, if there's a zombie apocalypse, these are the first people you lock out.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Dawn's
white oleander.
White oleander makes a lovely cake, and it's wonderful in a rhubarb pie.
Yes. But no, there's lots of things you can do. Mm-hmm. Should you? Is it worth it? Is it really worth it? Think long and hard on that question.
And Don, looking at it, let's pull the cards and see.
And while he does that, let me just say I used to have a boss that every time we had a snow day and I had to come to work, I used to sit there and just fantasize about going over the night before as I saw the snow coming down and Vaselining his tires. I told him that, scared the hell out of him. But
well, honey, that tends to be all right. Back to the question, and then I've got some comments lower on down the road here. I feel you stay where you are. I do feel like, and that's physical location. Work location, I feel moves. Because it looks for something that brings you more passion, and it's something that'll be more independent for you. All right, white internet history makes you look like a serial killer. Honey, my YouTube makes me look like I'm a serial killer. So personally, always remember to turn on privacy, and if you're going to do any major serial killer research, be sure that you erase your browser history and run your cookie cleanup. And do we have a recommendation for a program that does that?
Well, realistically, while there's a lot of programs out there that claim to do that, a lot of them are basically going to do things that you can do yourself. And I would be happy to put up an article on Mystic Computers to walk you through that. Because with those programs, often comes a lot of advertising, a lot of additional programs that want to install, and in some instances makes things worse.
Okay.
So I tend to steer clear of those as much as we can. Now that's for base level cleanup. I am a big fan of Malwarebytes. They're a decent company for what they do. Definitely want to use their software when your computer is bad. Not necessarily when it's like, I don't know. I just feel like it. It's Tuesday. Because they do come with some junk. Because that's a lot of how software companies are supporting themselves now is here's your freeware, but there's no such thing as free lunch. Here's all your crapware. And sometimes that's a big part of it is getting people to understand it really is better to pay for stuff. And here's how I best explain that to clients. You can do a lot of free games and free software and just get tons of free stuff. And you're going to see me about every 3 months to clean up the mess. And you can pay me to do that, or you can pay for the programs you want, and then you don't have to call me. Except when you actually have something fail.
Well, I like that one program. I think it's called Hitman Pro.
Hitman Pro is also a good one, and it sounds horrible, but it's actually a computer cleanup utility. It is really, really good. I wasn't thinking about that one off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's my top recommendation because it does a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one of those that because it is so unobtrusive, like I run it and almost forget that I run it. On a lot of systems, because it can be a good, quick, easy. Side note: you do have to run it multiple times. Do not run it once and walk away. Don't care if it says everything's done. Reboot, run it again. I usually run it at least 3 times, because I've usually found a 4th time doesn't find anything.
Right.
So that's my fun techie tip. It's a nice little program. It is, and it's little. There's not a whole lot to it.
Right. The other thing that I'm thinking, if you are like an internet researcher, is a VPN.
Yeah. See, I have issues. There are a lot of people touting the wonderful benefits of VPN, and what they forget to mention. What they forget to mention with VPNs, there's a trade-off there. VPNs can help you out in a lot of ways. One, they anonymize your traffic so that your internet service provider doesn't see what you're doing. It goes out on a server with a bunch of other connections, so it's a little harder to pick it apart. Most VPN services do not keep records. The problem with VPNs is you're going to find that your internet connection is going to be a whole lot slower, which can inadvertently cause a lot of issues. You may end up with delays, you may end up with problems, and if you forget, because one of the common reasons or one of the common, so to speak, benefits of VPNs is you can occasionally or you can use them to connect through to another country and view content on, say, Netflix or other streaming services that's not available in your home country. Problem with that being, if you forget you did that, you can end up getting some very interesting things happening. Because now you are connected through that country, so your connection and your computer may start behaving
like it
needs to get stuff for that country, whether that's a Windows update for that region, whether, there's a lot of things that can get wonky.
Right.
And you may also start seeing issues with like online ordering. You can start seeing problems getting weather information, stuff like that. So just keep those in mind if you ever do choose to use a VPN. That's not work related. That's a different concept from what we're talking about. A lot of offices also have VPN set up, so you are directly connected to their system. And if you are on one of those, please remember, before you use the porn box for porn, disconnect from the VPN. Always make sure you disconnect from the VPN. Because your IT people may range somewhere from that's funny to actually having to keep their job, legitimately report that to management, and then you get to have an awkward conversation with HR.
Right. And when you're at home working from home, remember, if you are interlinking with any server base, what you do on that server base at that time is being viewed or tracked.
And it can be.
Yeah,
can be. Right. So if you're going to Facebook and you're connected to your employer's VPN, don't.
Right.
My general advice to people is always, if you are going to be working from home and you have to connect to that employer through a VPN, have a separate device.
Yeah.
And do all your other, basically just have a system dedicated to that employer. On that system, have an account dedicated for work. So that you, so to speak, don't cross the streams. Right. So you have multiple layers trying to push you out.
Right.
If you can't afford a separate device, at least make sure you're using a personal account and a work account. And then you do personal on personal, work on work.
Right. And the other thing, and you don't have to be connected to a VPN, honey. We see that all the time with the networks. There are certain things that I can do with my computer. Example, get up and walk away from it and let it sit for more than 15 minutes. Suddenly, I'm no longer getting calls. Sit there, start doing something that's heavily related to computer resources. Boom, 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 boom.
Right. And we haven't quite figured that one out. I don't know what specifically they're looking at. I can hazard a few guesses on what I think they're looking at. Because you would be amazed at the amount of information your browser will reveal about your system.
Right.
And it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's not like, hi, here's all your favorite, links, or here's all your, files and documents, and hey, but it can see into a lot of system information. In terms of, how much CPU you're using, how many, what your resource levels are, and kind of gauge how active that system is.
Right.
Are you sitting there? Are you doing stuff? Are you moving the mouse? To determine, is this active?
Right. So if you are working from home, remember that. Even if you are not on a company VPN, maybe you're logging in through what's called a portal connection, which is you log into their website and you're able to activate and work from there. That is one of the alternatives a lot of companies have done because it's cheaper. It's like they can forward your office to your cell phone, and so what. Remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's definitely that. And that is also one thing on, we're definitely a lot more connected than we have ever been. And I think one of the worst parts of that is a lot of us have not necessarily kept up with what that means.
Right.
And unfortunately, the U.S. is not for a country that believes heavily in a right to privacy. We
Mm-hmm.
don't actually have one, and that's scary.
No.
And especially when you're talking about employers.
Yeah.
Because that means that you are now in an interesting situation with your employers, and especially if you're connecting through to a website.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you haven't heard the word cookies, let me break that down for you. Cookies are a very powerful tool that will allow a site to basically see where else you are going on the internet and get a feel for what things you're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're spending a lot of time on your company site, you may very well be giving away a lot of information about your, habits and things that you're doing, to a skillful IT person.
Right. And that's why I totally recommend having a work system.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, when the article comes out on Mystic PCs about how to keep your computer clean, things to do like daily. And I would recommend that daily. Like when you log out of work, clean your computer before you log into another profile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But most definitely make sure you jump off a VPN, because that's going to be the one that glares out the most. Like, that's attached to your corporate username. That is dead to rights. You did it.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, if you are being issued a corporate system, please understand that is company property. It is for your work benefit, not your personal life.
Right.
Because it can get interesting, and I've gotten that phone call from a very scared employee before.
Mm-hmm.
Won't name anyone's names, and never do. And we had to have a very honest conversation about what were you doing, what happened, because the machine had become unusable, and they were basically browsing a porn site,
Mm-hmm.
and it became unusable.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to have a very creative conversation
Mm-hmm.
about, okay, let's talk this through. What are your options? What things can you do to minimize damage?
Right.
And that had to be a very intense conversation to determine that out.
Right.
I'm can be creative at times. Let's say that. He kept his job.
Right.
And by all rights, probably shouldn't have.
Yeah. So let's see. This week we've got Mountain Bears on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be looking for online classes to be popping up, because I am going to go ahead and just go, oh, I'm going to be home for May, so let's do some online classes.
Mm-hmm.
And those will be going through. We've got a Witchy Box coming up that'll be opening up on one of the psychic coffee shops when it comes in. Luckily, I got a Witchy Box from Dorothy Morrison's May Witch giveaway. So we will be doing an unboxing here to see what's all in her utterly wicked box. Yes, that'll be on the Psychic Coffee Shop. Let me see what else.
And of course, we have the store up.
Yep, the store is up. And with the store, there you've got, if you, other than the bath salts, those are new. But if you're looking for psychic services, the store itself will take you there. It'll get you everything you need. We use a very strong, we use PayPal. You don't have to have a PayPal account to do it. To use it, it does have guest log, but it is a sealed log. I'll go ahead and paste this out there, and it'll be in the descriptions on the after show, that you can go and look through. We done the grand opening last week. Working 9 to 5. Dialing for dollars, the money one. And then if things are really, really screwy, you definitely want to be popping in some crazy train into your bass. Something else I want to talk about real fast before we wrap up. Please be doing self-care. Taking time for you during this time. It is a very stressful time. People's depression is kicking up. People's anxiety is off the chart. Be making sure to be throwing a little bit of salt in your bath water or in your soap. A really easy method to cleanse your energy is put about a 1/4 cup of salt into your body wash. Same thing as soaking in an Epsom salt bath. It'll definitely do the cleansing for you.
Alrighty. Very cool.
Yep.
And of course, we still have our Patreon link on the page, and we would love to thank our Patreon supporter. And I see you getting ready to hit the scroller. Yes, thank you,
Yes.
Beverly. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. We love our Patreon supporter. We are always looking for more.
Yep.
And yeah.
Yeah, and things that'll be coming out, things that you get during that is a private show. Early vlogs when we are able to go back to vlogging. There's a newsletter. There's some inspirational backgrounds that you can download for your phone, tablet, computer. Trying to think what else is there. You discount on readings, discount on the store. So yeah, you get a lot of different things with it, and I think it's everything from $1 a month up to like $5.
1, $5, and $10.
1, $5, and $10.
Yeah, if I remember correctly. It's the sad part is we don't have enough Patreon subscribers. I forget what the levels are.
I know we're gonna have to get you onto that, and because that is something I want you to head up. And start working more on the Patreon site and giving us more stuff over there. And of course, that will be building and growing, and more building and growing. It is, a secondary thing. Don't think that you have to or need to do it. But it is a secondary thing for us. Because it's never been my point to make this show a moneymaker.
There you go. Well, and just popping into my head, and it was something that came up in your Wicca Year in a Day this past weekend. And it had to do with I call it the face mask. And if you want to go into that, put on yours before you try to help your help someone else with theirs. Like, there was a whole conversation in that class about, the thoughts on helping others,
right,
and how that applies.
Yeah. You take care of your own house first, and then you help others. That's always been my point of view on a lot of things. That includes magic. That includes stress. That includes everything, is you have to take care of you first. Because if you aren't taking care of you, you can't take care of anybody else.
There we go. Alrighty.
So we will see you Friday night. You guys have a great evening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for chatting with us. And always feel free to hop in.
Absolutely.
Good night, y'all. Good night, Joe.
Good night.